Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar again. Uh, let's wait a couple more minutes for others to join. I know it's a pretty busy time of the year and it's almost weekend for everyone, almost. But yeah, like today we prepared quite some interesting information to share, and I really hope you like it and you put it in action as soon as possible. And please let's give it a couple more minutes for the others to join, and let's get things started. Thank you. All right, then let's get things started. Welcome again to anyone who joined the webinar in the last couple of minutes. So, as announced via email and on the webinar landing page, uh, today we're going to talk about tested optimization strategies for running profitable Meta campaigns or Facebook campaigns, as we would like to call it. Like, at least me personally, I'm not used to calling it Meta yet. So this webinar comes and originates from conversations and frequent questions and generally topics we discuss with our users and our platform users when it comes to uh, coming up with strategies or optimization rules or ways to handle specific situations when it comes to managing their Facebook campaigns. And these what we're going to present today uh, is uh, is a summary of um, mixed experiences and tested actually strategies from people running lead generation, running search arb, running e-commerce, running rebuilds, running anything that you can think of, or at least we most affiliates or performance marketers like to run or have access to get their hands on. So pretty quickly to jump in a quick summary of today's agenda. Today we're going to talk briefly and pretty quickly. We're going to do a short summary of what are some of the new features of the optimizer and the new releases. And the reason I'm going to stop a bit on that really shortly is because some of those new updates are really really handy when it comes to managing lots of campaigns and hefty budgets like we see with our users. So definitely worth spending a minute or two on those. Then we're going to move into campaign testing on how to quickly identify winning creatives and campaigns and focus on campaigns that actually bring us money and rather than waste money. And as a matter of fact, like we all know that testing requires considerable budgets, so we have to deal with that anyways. Also, we will move into tested stop loss strategies, because one of the benefits, or one of the benefits of using a platform like the optimizer, but today we're not going to focus on the optimizer itself, is having the ability to control your ad spend waste, or your losses, at the same time managing scaling. So today we're going to discuss some of the proven strategies for handling stop loss um, uh, strategies, and how to approach them and how to handle them. Then we will move into creative fatigue, how to detect it, uh, how to behave, and how to deal with it when that happens. And quite often we see cost spike detections with Facebook. Like it either comes from testing a new audience, or the creative fatigue, or something quite mysterious that we all know it ends up being like a black box for most of us, Facebook itself. So we will look into strategies on how to detect these sudden spikes, and how what to do in those cases, and what are our options. Then we will move into lean and aggressive scaling, and another like we have one lean traditional way of scaling, but we also have two options when it comes to aggressive scaling, and that generally is related or is directly affected by the budgets and the risks that you would like to take. Then we will move into bid and budget control strategies on what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. And last but not least, which is not part of our today's agenda, we have a pretty interesting update to share at the end. It's something that we hear almost everyone complaining about. Everyone is looking for a solution about it, and the solution needs to be something that fits almost everyone's needs. So there's a pretty cool update we're releasing pretty soon, and I want to share a sneak peek of what we're working on, and how you can benefit from it. So pretty quickly, let's run into a list of the updates that we at the Optimizer have released. Uh, I'm focusing first on reporting. Some of you may have already started using some of the new reports, some of you not, but practically, besides having the ability to run aggregated reports from multiple campaigns, we have now added the ability to run account level reports, or custom reports that you can model the reporting to your needs. And these come really handy, especially on big teams, or even with teams or two or three media buyers, when it comes to running their monthly accounting, or their weekly, or whatever intervals they do for accounting. So it's very easy to drill down on all the campaigns of Lossit, let's say, or on all the campaigns of Mark, let's say, and get or the other accounts, and get a quick summary of what was spent, what was the revenue, and how much profit or losses anyone made individually. Then we have, for those that run Google Ads, we have an update on target ROAS. As we know, Google is moving a lot with ROAS campaigns. So instead of going into the messy interface of Google, and it's messy for a good reason, but instead of going and then generating 10 clicks to get to the target ROAS of your campaign, and then make the changes and do repeat the process over and over again, you can create a simple rule that sits there and does what you have in mind. And when I say what you have in mind, it practically does the action for you, increases the target ROAS, decreases the target ROAS, sets the target ROAS at a specific value, and you're able to handle, or to execute these actions depending on the traffic volume increase or decrease, and those usual patterns that we see with target ROAS campaigns. Then we have, and this is very, very important, then we have custom date ranges in rule conditions. What this adds to the automatic rules is practically the human touch, or what most media buyers do. So at least myself, when I buy media, one of the frequent things that I do is go and look at one campaign on a day-to-day progress, especially for Facebook. So I'm looking at the first day, second day, third day, and so on and so forth, or the last 3 days individually, each and every day individually, in order to make decisions, or looking at a short or a specific time frame in the past, or in order to make decisions. So this ability to use custom date ranges in rule conditions really removes the limits when it comes to applying specific strategies and specific actions on specific conditions. Then we have the start and end date in rule conditions. Why is this important? This is important because something that we've seen happening quite often is people have a really noticeable impatience when it comes to testing, meaning they launch a campaign today, they see totally delusional results, and they kill the campaign same day or within the first 24 hours. Guys, the thing is, these platforms, especially Meta, needs to play around with data, needs to play around with the audience. So instead of uh, killing the campaign same day just because you didn't notice, or you're freaking out from the initial poor results, sorry, instead, keep it running for a specific amount of time, and we will talk more about this later. Or if the campaign is approaching an end and you have a plan to activate or deactivate something, or do something with it, you can use that as well. So start and end date are present in the rules, and that adds more options and more flexibility when it comes to the campaign management. Another cool one is the ability to compare date ranges. Like, it has been like a forever nightmare when moving back and forth. Like, last 3 days, what about the previous last 3 days? Last 7 days, what about the previous last 7 days? How did the performance change from yesterday to today? How did the performance change from the last couple of days, or let's say from today and yesterday and the 2 days before? So that is something that most of performance media buyers do on the daily basis, and that consumes a lot of time, and that makes navigating not only Facebook but most platforms, that makes it really tedious. So instead of going and checking things manually over and over again, in the optimizer now you can select the metrics or the KPIs, however you want to call them, that you would like to compare to see in date comparison, and you can see how the ROI changed from one day to another, or from the last 3 days versus the previous last 3 days, how the net profit changed, how the scale in terms of ad spend, and everything like that. So you can monitor any metric that you can think of and have that at your fingertips without having to waste days and hours in doing that with a platform. Also, we have a quick summary of some other important updates. So for outbrain campaigns, we have added bid cap rules. Generally, um, generally Outbrain likes to go on an auto bid, but sometimes it is necessary to add a bid cap to it, so it doesn't go and bid more than you can handle. So you can use a bid cap rule to slowly drop the bid as you go, or to implement a specific strategy and play around with the bid caps, so it gives your Outbrain campaigns more room to spend, or more or less room to bid and control the cost of the traffic. So if you're running with Red Track, especially those guys that are running e-commerce with Red Track, we now support custom conversion events, which will allow you to track anything besides the main conversions. Or let's say you want to track initiate checkouts, you want to track first sale, upsell, etc. So you can track anything. Those of you who have already moved to MediaGo We have added the ability to play around with the target CPA, so you have rules now to play around with the target CPA, increase, decrease it, or set it to a specific value. And you can see creative size columns, because we know MediaGo is a DSP. There are various dimensions. You can optimize, and you can see the reports by creative dimension. Then also we have updated some of our bid change rules and budget change rule options. So meaning that you have more options now to build really flexible and complex strategies with your campaigns. Now, as I said, this I try to go really short on this. So let's move and focus only on Facebook from now on, and give it a go. So mass campaign launching, mass creative launching, and testing. So one of the things me and my other colleagues hear often is, um, we want to do more, we want to scale more, we want to do this quarter this and do this that quarter that. However, to reach those scales and to increase your ad spend profitably, obviously, you need to keep in mind that you have to respect some rules. So you have to define a budget which is suitable for both testing and scaling. So if you plan on launching 100 campaigns a day, or 200 campaigns a day, or even 20 campaigns a day, keep present that those campaigns will not necessarily be profitable. So you will need to make room in terms of budgets for launching the same amount of campaigns the next day, but at the same time you need to have enough budget to handle scale on potential campaigns, potential new campaigns that you find. So that thing, do your own calculation and make sure to allocate enough budgets. Don't go with $5 or $10 campaigns in the hopes that you will make God knows what. Like, give it a proper chance. Like, give the campaign enough budget so that it reaches the goals. Also, you have to, as I mentioned, like, when set a minimum goal of campaigns for each day or each week, depending on the industry that you're working. If we're talking about e-commerce, we can talk about on a weekly basis. If we're talking about lead generation, it can be daily or it can be weekly basis. But if we're talking about search arb, we can definitely focus on a daily basis campaign launches. One of the golden rules is don't make assumptions. I used to make that a lot, and that was my nightmare. Like, practically whenever I worked a lot on a specific creative or a specific campaign and got affected to it, thinking that I'm doing the best I can, ended up the campaign didn't work out well, and one of the ugliest ones outperformed whatever I spent most of my time on. So definitely don't make assumptions. If you have a creative team, and if you have or if you're a solo media buyer that you're doing everything by yourself, do rely on templates, either for videos or images. Do use templates. Photoshop or Figma or Canva or whatever tool you're using has allows you to replicate easily whatever you have as a template. Don't stay there and waste times and days to do things manually, or each and every time, and spend a lot of time on that, because the name of the game here is moving fast and moving aggressively, like finding new winners, killing losers, and doing that process over and over again. uh, if we are running mass testing, one of the best one of the best approaches is to not test one campaign, let's say one offer, one lead generate or lead generation offer or campaign with just one set of creatives. Let's say one style of creatives, or one angle of creatives. Do test more angles, more styles, because as we know, creative is one of the most important pieces of for Facebook ad buys. So it could easily happen that you land on a bad creative, on a good campaign, and that combination kind of takes your focus from that campaign, and you're leaving money on the table doing that. So instead, test more variations. Like, it can be video versus images. It can be one UGC creator versus another UGC creator. It can be one picture versus another, or one head angle versus another. Then don't kill your newly launched campaigns too early. As I mentioned earlier, don't rush and kill your campaign first day, especially if it takes time to create to generate those conversions. And even when it doesn't take time to generate those conversions, make sure you're not jumping into this into conclusions or too early. Sorry. And when it comes to campaign testing, there's either Advantage Plus or, as we all know, CBO campaigns and ABO campaigns, and when to run what and why. So, in terms of best practices, we have the tendency to run CBO if we're testing different audiences and creative concepts. Audiences, because if we're one campaign can have two or more ad sets, and we can play around with targeting there, and the campaign itself will route most of the traffic to the best performing ad set. And with creative concepts, it will work somehow the same, especially when we're organizing creatives on different ad sets. However, when we're organizing creatives on these different ad sets, keep present that it may happen that the audience one ad set is serving might be slightly different from the audience that the other one is serving. Or you can do CBO and dynamic creatives, which only today I heard that that is going away this month, but until it is there, and at least this is something that has been working so far until now, is if you're looking to find new winners on existing campaigns or better creatives on existing campaigns. So let's say you have one campaign that is running for a while, it is working great, but you see some fluctuations. Um, Instead of changing everything, you introduce a new ad set with a new set of dynamic creatives. And if that new set of dynamic creatives is performing better, Facebook will on its own focus traffic there versus the older one. So that helps with finding new winners without shaking too much the original campaign. Then you move to ad set budget optimization if you're looking to equally test creatives, and that comes back to the old traditional A/B testing A/B testing approaches, where we want to allocate the same amount of budget, the same amount of people or impressions whenever possible to different sets of creatives, and within within the same set of within the same ad set we have different set of creatives, so we can have one angle on one campaign on one ad set, one angle on another, or we can have videos versus images in two different ad sets, and we will understand which one performs best. Then you want to run ABO if you're looking to scale horizontally and faster. Why? Because apparently Facebook keeps conversion learning on the campaign level. So whatever is underneath that campaign, under the campaign umbrella, will somehow use the learnings used from another ad set. So the learning period might be much shorter on a new ad set on an existing campaign that has already completed the learning stage versus a new campaign that starts learning from scratch. So instead, it doesn't carry on learnings from another campaign or from the ad account level, and the ad account might be running, as some do, different verticals and different stuff. So if that is the case, then you want to scale horizontally. Then I don't know how much worth it is to focus on dynamic versus single creatives, since they're going, but you run single creatives when you want to get a clear understanding who the winners are, or you want to minimize the risk of getting your creatives rejected. Like something that happens quite often with performance marketers or affiliate marketers is that they upload one dynamic creative, one of the ads kind of triggers the rejection system of Facebook, and all of your ads are out. So instead of trying to figure out what the hell is going on with my ads and understanding which of the ads um, caused a rejection, which by the end of the day is a waste of time, you move with single creatives and you have the creatives there. Then obviously on the other side, dynamic creatives help you avoiding serving the same ad over and over again with high frequency on the same audience. Maybe it tests sometimes it tests the angles or the different ads on a specific audience to see what works best for each individual person. But as I said, this is going out, or if we're using dynamic creatives for finding new winners fast, then when doing the campaign mass testing, and I would like to focus a little bit on this graph, is the ROI. Like, I know that a lot of Facebook guys focus on ROAS, but I'm used to ROI, and most of our users rely on ROI rather than ROAS because it's kind of the same thing, but that's what they're used with. So uh, if we look at this graph, we see on day one, on day zero, and day one, we see the ROI being really low on the negative side of things, right? So by day two and day three, things start to get better. But as I said earlier, you want to focus and you want to give your campaign at least 4 days of running. Like, you can give it 3 days, but 4 days kind of leans more towards beyond halfway through the 7 day window, where Facebook is looking for 50 conversions. So if you're lucky, and or if you're working with low CPA offers, that you get hundreds of conversions each day, then it's okay maybe to risk it on on the 3 day window. But even in those cases, extending the testing period up to 4 days will help you get a better make better decisions, and uh, possibly and potentially finding new winners rather than killing more losers. This comes from a huge amount of data and a huge amount of testing. So there's a reason behind this. So besides that, you have to allocate enough budget so that you get 50 conversions a day. Don't allocate ridiculous budgets like $10 on a $50 offer, or $50 a day on a $250 average order value on an e-commerce site, and you don't get those 50 conversions in a week, especially on a new campaign. So try to make it make sense. Whatever you're testing, make it make sense. Otherwise, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're wasting money. Campaign never exits the learning state, the learning phase, and you're done. Like, then it turns out it didn't work. Then there's often people and often people freak out from high CPMs. To me, I try to see it in a different way. Whenever the CPM is high, and I agree that sometimes it is really high, but whenever the CPM is high, it means that we've landed on a highly competitive audience. Someone else is paying a higher price for that person to convert. So, as instead of focusing on CPM, focus on average cost per click, per link click, which is what you care for when it comes to sending visitors to your landing page or to your funnel. So if your CTR is good and your average cost per link click is acceptable, why care? Like, you don't. It doesn't make sense to worry much about the CPM. And if you are close to break even in the let the in a new campaign, let the campaign run for at least 7 days. Don't jump into conclusions. Like, don't look at the last 4 days. Oh, I'm minus 40%. Look at each day in the last 4 days to see a positive trend in the ROI of the campaign. If the ROI of the campaign on a day-to-day performance is showing a positive trend, then you're dealing with something good. If the ROI stays always in the negative range, and usually we're talking about worse than negative 25, 30%, and generally worse than on the worse than negative 30% ROI, then it might be difficult. But if you see a positive trend coming to your campaign, then definitely don't kill it, but extend your testing. So move it to 7 days. If in the 7 days range it's not profitable yet, then make a decision. But there we have another scenario where you have the campaign on break even. As you can see here, we can have the campaign on break even here. So we tested the campaign in the first 3 days. Then from day 4 to day 7, the campaign is staying at negative 5% or something, or close to break even. So you're losing a little bit on this campaign. And options are two: you either kill the campaign and you've removed yourself a potentially profitable campaign and you lost whatever you lost testing it, or keep the campaign running for a limited amount of time. Then once you have gathered enough conversions, switch the bidding to bid cap instead of killing the campaign. That doesn't necessarily work all the time. However, there are often times where that switching from maximum number of conversions to bid cap on after you've gathered a decent amount of conversions, that has a tendency to work out really well. And once your campaign is converting on bid cap, maybe doesn't scale that as much as you want. However, you're able to recover whatever you spent during testing it. Then let's move to the stop loss strategies, because we talked about, okay, let's launch this huge number of campaigns, but whatever we're launching, whatever we're testing equals money. So in this situation, let's move the focus on how do we prevent and how do we avoid from losing a lot of money. So as I said, run the campaign for 3 to 4 days and monitor the performance of the campaign each and every single day. I repeat, each and every single day, because that will help you understand what's going on with the campaign. If the campaign by day 4 doesn't have a promising ROI, like the ROI is worse than negative 30% on an average low to medium CPA, then kill the campaign. No need to waste more money on it. Then if you're running a high CPA campaign and if you're running if you're promoting products that are somehow too niche specific, or products that are a bit hard to sell, extend the testing up to 7 days. Run it at least 3 to 7 days or 4 to 7 days. Don't jump into conclusions too early, because while the campaign is running and of course it might not be profitable, Facebook is trying to find the best audience. And sometimes what happens, even when you have a stable campaign, you can see CPM spikes and CTR fluctuations. I'm not talking about decreasing CTR. I'm talking about fluctuations which happen from time to time, because apparently Facebook is trying to land on a different pool of audience and test how well your product is doing there, or your offer is doing there. Then if you have potential campaigns that or campaigns that are showing potential and the ROI um, drops drastically for 2 to 3 days, then kill a campaign. If not, keep it running. Like, it's normal for the campaign to have some fluctuations, let's say throughout the week. Let's say 2 out of 7 days you're getting a low ROI, but looking at the 7-day window, you're still profitable. So don't jump and don't freak out on making rush decisions when it comes to killing a campaign just because it is low. If you're running on a high CPA campaign product, then you might want to extend this a little bit. Just like the fact that it might require more time and more testing to reach that level of stability, you may require some more testing and allow more room for the campaign to recover. Otherwise, it would have been totally different, like the situation. Like you easily kill the campaign right the next day when it's not profitable anymore and you're done. If we're talking about translating this into automatic rules, these are some rule examples where we're practically looking at the campaign running for 4 days at least, and then we're looking at each and every day individually. Like, I know that the screenshots are pretty small. I will try to summarize the whole presentation and share it over via email for those of you who are attending the webinar, and you can get a closer look at the rules and see what the conditions are. But practically, what we have here is what we have in the logic. So we want to compare each and every day individually and check if the ROI is this or that. We're doing it. We want to compare the ad results on Facebook. We're doing it. And we have the decision making or the action. We want to pause the campaign. We pause the campaign. Or we want to drop the budget. We drop the budget. Some other scenarios are that when you have, especially when you have scaled campaigns, so you have campaigns that have experienced a drastic increase in CPA for 3 or more days. In those cases, especially on scaled campaigns, try not to rush and kill the campaign immediately. Instead, drop the budget. When dropping the budget, you're telling Facebook that, hey, like, things are not working out for me, so it will try to get back to the CPA that didn't that did before. If not, you can always kill the campaign. Then if the campaign um, obviously has 5 to more days, 5 to 7 days in higher CPA, sometimes you may want to reuse some of your old creatives, those with high engagement and high amount of positive comments. Like the situation with those is like this: so you have an average high CPA offer that is fluctuating throughout the time, and instead of killing the campaign, which you spent quite some good money to get stable, at the very moment that your campaign or your ad set goes into a rough period of time, instead of just adding new creatives, try to use one of those old creatives that maybe was paused or maybe is running on another campaign that has a lot of social proof, and people generally like to see what anyone else's experience is when buying a product or when trying to make a decision. So use that. And sometimes if your campaign is still unstable, you pause the campaign for 24 hours, then you resume it. Like, don't pause the campaign immediately, don't rush it, especially on scaled campaigns that have already a lot of data. And last but not least, which is out of the context, sorry, out of the logic here, is sometimes when you have campaigns that you have paused before, that have been running because your revenue dropped or your conversion rate changed a little bit, and then problems are solved, you can always reactivate one of your existing campaigns. Don't just launch new ones, reactivate old ones. That's practically easy money. Like, that's easy money. So reactivate old ones, and you can do that with automatic rules as well. So if you're not doing that, you're missing out on something. And this is one of those rules where we practically decrease the ad set budget. Like, practically we're looking at the ROI. If it was greater than a specific value, like 30-40%, and if the daily budget is greater than whatever value you consider a scaled campaign, and we're checking the ROI of the last 3 days versus the ROI of yesterday. If we have a drop in ROI, then in the last 3 days, confirmed on based of yesterday's performance, based on the other count time zone, as soon as the new day kicks in, we are dropping the budget, and we're dropping the budget to 50% of the current budget. Might be too much, might be a little for some. Always adapt the rules. Like, these are for demonstration purposes only, not definitive rules. So if we're looking for definitive rules, we can definitely get on a call. Or if we would like to run rules to pause the campaign for 24 hours and activate the campaigns for after 24 hours. So practically we're looking at the impressions and delivery of the campaign. If the campaign has delivered for X amount of days and was profitable before, like we're checking here the last 10 days, but 7 days without the last 3 days. So in this case, we're checking if the campaign was profitable. It's not profitable, okay, we're pausing it for 24 hours. After 24 hours, we're running another rule that is activating it, and we can create a different we can totally take a different approach to this instead of using just one single rule. We talked about stop losses, but let's talk a little bit about don'ts, that you things that you don't want to do about when it comes to stop lossing. So campaign getting and this is quite frequent, like campaign getting a high CPA at the beginning of the day or halfway through its daily ad spend. It is normal to happen, and it may happen sometimes. It doesn't recover, and that kind of falls into those bad days where ROI is not that good, right? However, we don't want to optimize based of 2 days. Like, give it enough time to for the campaign to recover. Like, and sometimes whatever high CPA is throughout the day, the CPA will average out on based of late night conversions or late hours conversions. Like, just think that people have a life outside of Facebook and outside of whatever offers we want to promote and we want to push. So instead of rushing your decisions just because the first half of the day or first half of the ad spend, daily ad spend is not working, give it time. Like, don't rush it. Like, really don't rush it, because quite often when you rush it, you're kind of ruining the campaign, and uh, Facebook uh, stops learning or stops adapting. Like, this is really, really important. Like, we want to give the platform enough time and enough data to adapt. If we're not allowing it to adapt to changes, then we are playing against it. And obviously we have to play with it. Like, I'm not saying don't play with it and don't do crazy or stupid stuff. Like, we have to do stupid stuff, because there is where we see and we find new windows of opportunities, but definitely don't overdo it. Or if the campaign is getting high CPA randomly, like I said earlier, or if the campaign is showing low ROAS, like, give it time. If it persists, or if it's longer than 1 or 2 days, or if it's longer than 2 to 3 days, then you make a decision, especially on a profitable campaign. You should have already gained enough fat from that campaign, so that you have some room to breathe and get more out of that campaign. Then moving to creative fatigue, ad frequency increase and CTR decrease are quite often some of the most common indicators of us having an ad fatigue. Obviously, instead of killing the campaign, please do reintroduce your best winning ads, because that's really helpful. Like, instead of saying like, oh, like, this ad is not working anymore, or this campaign just died, reintroduce some of your best winners, or maybe reintroduce sometimes even something that was running before, like 3 months before, or something like that, and reintroduce it. Like, there's no harm in that, unless you have a date that says uh, 2023 and you're in 2024, and you're trying to show something actual, that might be a bit different. But sometimes even that works, because saying it's actual in 2024 when it's 2023, it kind of triggers people to react. So um, definitely introduce new ads. If the ad frequency increases and the CPA increases, or sorry, if the CTR decreases, then check out for significant drops. Look at the average cost per link click and conversion rate, and try not to mistake this, or not to mix this with the funnel itself. Like, sometimes it's the funnel that is doing some bad, has some issues, and is giving bad results, and instead of the ad itself. Then let's move on cost spike detection, like intraday CPA cost spike. As I said earlier, don't react too early about it, unless you have to. If you have to, and if you're running impulsive optimizations on your campaigns, then react. But if you're having random CPA spikes, don't do it. Like, because it will average out throughout the day. If the campaign, on the other hand, if you're wanting to do a day-to-day optimizations and try to keep it under more control, if the campaign has spent more than 50 days of the daily budget, and you see a CPA, let's say, increase more than 30% of the average CPA of the last 3 days, do it based off the last 3 days average CPA. Then you decrease the daily budget. So the new day, that day, you save whatever you can, and the new day starts at a lower budget. And if you see the same CTR range, but with CPM increase, if it's temporary for one day, then don't do anything. Let it run. It can happen sometimes. You get a CPM spike for one day or two. If it's if it's 2 day or more, then you can decrease the budget. So uh, even there, you have to analyze them. And here we have two rules that do that in terms of actions, like decreasing budgets or changing the budgets of the campaigns. When doing budget change in rules, keep present and be aware of the bidding strategy that you're using, especially if you're using cost cap, and we will talk more about it later. Then we're moving to scaling, lean versus aggressive scaling. So when we talk about lean scaling, we talk about 20%, sometimes even 15%. Some of those um, common suggestions that Facebook reps have the tendency to give when you get a chance to get on a call with them, like the new reps, not the old ones. If you do those 20-25%, and if you want to keep it to take it slow and go super secure on that, do 20-25% budget increase every 2 to 3 days if the ROI is positive. When you want to if you want to do a horizontal lean scale, make sure your campaign is using ad set budget optimization, and you do duplicate your best performing ad sets every 2 to 3 days. Keep present that here it will take some time for the ad set to relearn or to update the learning for the new ad set. So give it time. If it's not working on day one, doesn't mean it will not work. Keep that present. Give it 2 to 3 days, at least 3 days. If after 3 days that new ad set that you cloned didn't work out, then you kill it and you keep moving with a new one. Then you do lean scaling with CBO. That implies that you have to start learning from scratch. So for the campaign level. So if you're doing that, try to increase the budget of the original campaign, but not more than 25%, and generally stay in the 20% range. Then clone the new campaign, and ideally on the new campaign you reset the budget. So we have an option with automatic rules to reset budgets when we clone campaigns, and that it resets the budgets either on the campaign level if you're running CBO, or campaign and ad set level when you're running ABO. So these are the rules that do the action on your behalf. Moving to aggressive scaling. In terms of aggressive scaling, we are talking about scaling the budget every 2 to 3 days by 50% to 100%, and sometimes even more. When do we do this? We do this only, and I want to emphasize this. We do this only if we have 50, but more than 50 conversions in the last 7 days, but also we would like to have more. So if we have 100, the more the better. So more conversions, the better it is in the last 7 days, but the bare minimum is 50 conversions. When we do the budget changes in a more aggressive way, we will see fluctuations maybe in the next day, like the CPA may rise a little bit or may even become unprofitable for what it's worth, but it's just for one day. The second day will get better. So let's consider it a 2 day spike of the CPA. Then it will eventually average out back again to where it was. Even if it is slightly higher, we're talking about more budgets, more net profit, and maybe slightly lower ROI. If you're doing horizontal scaling and you want to do it aggressive, you do duplicate 2 to 3 times your best winning ad set. If you want, you can go even higher, but 2 to 3 times is still considered to be aggressive, and you do it every 2 to 3 days. So you let them run 2 to 3 days. You kill losers, you keep winners. Then you do aggressive scaling with CBO and horizontal. So you do the budget increase on the original campaign, but you also do the cloning of the original campaigns. When you do the cloning, make sure to reset the budget. Like whatever campaign is scaled, make sure to reset the budget, because if you're starting the testing with a scaled budget, that might make a bigger hole in your overall ROI. So you don't want to ruin your current ROI. You actually want to expand it or to scale it. So um, instead of practically scaling, duplicating the campaign with the original budget, reset the budget, set a new testing budget from scratch. it will still work out best. Then we have the impulsive scaling. Like this is for those. This is not for those with a weak heart or those that freak out. Like if you are one of those that freak out, just don't do it. Period. Like don't even think of doing it. Like this is something that a few guys that know their things and know how to deal with Facebook are doing, and practically they are scaling the daily budget on the same day. So same day, if it's profitable, if by 30% of the daily budget the campaign shows a pretty promising CPA or a good CPA with good ROI, they scale the budget like a lot, like they move like 200% or even higher. And if it continues throughout the day, they still move the budget again. Then they reset the budget on the next day to make sure that it does not start with a hefty budget. Sometimes you can let it run on that hefty budget, but still you lower a little bit. Sometimes you reset it to the starting point. Then whenever you're running this, you have to add some protection because things can easily go wrong. In that situation, instead of uh, instead of doing instead of losing whatever you earned, you max the daily budget to whatever revenue you generated. So as long as you're profitable, so you have a profitable day, and your profit, your ROI starts decreasing, you put a stop at the maximum revenue. So whatever your risk is your same day revenue instead of risking the previous days. Then moving to bid and budget control, as always, like it is tricky. Like it's not always easy to get bid controls to deliver. However, we have to keep present, and these images here uh, do the best thing they can in terms of describing what's the difference between the two. So if you're looking for more volume, but you are okay with having the CPA spike a little bit sometimes, you go for cost cap. But if you want to have a stricter control on the bids, is bid cap, but that will sacrifice the volumes. When you do bid caps, though, it is not guaranteed that you will not have a CPA higher than whatever your bid cap is. Even though Facebook claims that you will get the CPA within your range, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will get a CPA in your range. Sometimes it may go higher, and sometimes it may go um, lower, and that is what we want. When you do have a bid cap, you can scale your campaigns profitably as long as you have put a bid cap and your ROI is good. On cost cap, you don't want to overdo it. So this is on the next slide. Yeah. So uh, on bid cap, sorry, on cost cap, don't scale the budget by more than 20 to 25%. If you do so, your CPA will increase, and that's generally what happens. Instead, you increase if you're not getting delivery from a cost cap, you increase the cost cap by 5 to 10% every 2 to 3 days, and you do that because you want to give enough time to Facebook's algorithm to find the audience that might convert with your bid. You do the same on low delivery with bid cap, but on bid cap, if you have plenty of delivery or a good amount of delivery and your ROI is positive, you can aggressively increase the budget if needed, and you will still keep the campaigns CPA under control. It might happen that from one day to another you may get little to no delivery at all, but then it might reset out quite easily. So that's generally how it goes. And we are now to the final one, and the announcement that I made in the beginning. So what we hear is most Facebook ad buyers complaining a lot about the time they waste when it comes to launching campaigns, and unless we tested it on our own, we wouldn't have understood it. So practically it takes roughly 2 to 2.5 hours on an experienced media buyer to launch 20 campaigns, setting all the settings for a Facebook campaign. And when saying setting all the settings, making sure links are working fine and the pixels are set up correctly, uh, events are selected correctly, and everything like that. So instead of you wasting a lot of that time, and especially if you are into mass testing and um, you're looking to accelerate your scaling, you use templates. So what the new launcher, apart from the fact that it works at least 5 times faster than Facebook's own campaign creator, you will have when it's ready for release, you will have templates that will help you avoid going over and over again the same settings and the same configurations for your campaigns. Then you have AB groups, which I will shortly explain in a moment. There is a variation manager which allows you to quickly turn on and off all or replicate the variations of campaigns that you have created, as well as you can set automatic rules right from the moment that you launch the campaign. So you launch 20 or 50 campaigns now, those 50 campaigns will not start blindly. They will not run blindly, and no one cares what happens with them. Instead, those 50 campaigns that you launched a few moments ago will have the automatic rules attached to them, and the automatic rules will watch them out on your behalf. And moving to AB groups, what AB groups means is that you can, when you create campaigns, and let's say that you are in doubts, maybe your page is penalized, or you want to test different variations of the campaign, you can easily select multiple pages like Facebook or Instagram pages in one go. So you create the same campaign, but you add an AB group to the campaign on the page level settings, and you select a different page, and you can launch the same ad from 5 pages if you want, if that is one of the strategies that you're looking to find winners. Or you can launch campaigns with different budgets and see how it performs, like what you get on a different budget level and what you get on another budget level. You can play around with audiences. Think of running a campaign like a lead generation campaign for solar, which is zip code limited, or region limited. So instead of launching um, everything in one and doing the exclusions, you can actually optimize campaigns by regions, or you can do targeting by regions. Or if you have a campaign that accepts traffic from US, Canada, and Australia or United Kingdom, for instance, and you want to give each country a fair chance, you easily add an AB group for each of the country targeting, is without having to recreate the campaign from scratch, or without even having to do that quick duplicate that you do on Ads Manager. That sometimes takes time to load and things like that. So this is something that we are working on. The team is very excited about the having this released. It's not ready yet for all of our users and Facebook buyers to use, but once it's ready, you will have the ability to launch tens, if not hundreds, of campaigns every day from Facebook in just a matter of time. And as you can see here, we have a sneak peek of what the launcher looks like, and we hope to have it as soon as possible. Like, I'm hoping maybe we're lucky and we get it out next month. And this brings us to the end of today's webinar. If you guys have any questions, or if you guys would like to look back at some of the details that we shared, I still have a couple more minutes. It went over time, and if not, or if you would like to get on a one-on-one call, maybe with me or with one of my other colleagues, and brainstorm about potential rules, or look at your actual use cases, and you want even for a chat, like how to approach this or that, always like getting a second opinion helps you, or a second thought on something helps you get move things forward, and look at things at a different perspective. So if you would like to get on a one-on-one call, just scan the QR code, and yeah, like let's set up a call. We can sit there for 30 minutes or 45 minutes together, go through all your details, look at your strategy, look at your specific patterns, and then take it from there. As opposed to giving generic rules or giving you a generic approach, which might make more harm than damage. Like, we're not internet gurus that want to sell a training or something. We are purely based on performance. Like, we have, obviously we have a product, we have a product behind. However, it is very important not to fall in the in the dependency of going for the guru route. I think we have a couple of questions. Okay, so Esteban, hi Esteban. So for search arbitrage, you advise to wait 7 days if ROI comes rising but still negative. For search arbitrage, I would stick to 4 days, 3 to 4 days, depending on the geo. However, if you introduce new keywords, or if you're testing keywords, and if you're not using Clicktera already, it does a pretty sick job at doing that. If you are testing keywords, I would give a bare minimum of 3 days for a set of keywords. Like, if you're introducing a new set of keywords, give it 3 days. Don't add new keywords today, and tomorrow it doesn't work, and after tomorrow you've killed the campaign. If you're doing that, you're wasting money. Like, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Instead, give it 3 days whenever you introduce a bare minimum of 3 days. Sometimes you need to give it 5 when you introduce new keywords. However, if the vertical is not working, it's not working. Like, you don't have to kill yourself over it. Like, you'd rather launch and scale another one. However, do not do super low testing, because just spending $10 a day for 4 days means $40, especially if we're talking about highly competitive geos or highly populated geos. Like, you need to give it enough time. Like, it has to make sense what you're testing, and even the feed providers won't necessarily like it when you do $5 tests. You don't see results. You get demoralized from the initial results, and boom, you kill it. Like, they don't want to use, they don't want you to do that, and it makes sense not to do that, because at first it's hurting your success rather than theirs. We have one from Victor. Hi, Victor. How many ad sets do you usually put on a CBO campaign, and how many ads in each ad set in CBO? I generally stick to 3, maximum 4, 2 to 4 ad sets on a campaign, because the more ad sets we add, the more budget it will require. So make sure it makes sense budget the number of ad sets and the budget that you're allocating. And when it comes to ads, 2 to 4 ads. Like, it is okay to have 2 ads, it is okay to have 3 ads and 4 ads. If you're adding more, you're adding more variables, and Facebook will generally focus on one set of ads, or one specific ad per ad set, as opposed to the other. So very likely in 3 days time, you will see that 1 or 2 ads maximum are getting most of the delivery. Another one. Hi, Aku. So would you use images and video creatives in the same dynamic ad, or rather use separate ad sets? This is something that goes under the testing. I would use $1 a day on an ad set. Instead, give it some more budget. Like, give it the budget that makes sense. So I would start at $20 a day, enough to get enough data. Like, even if you're running India with super low traffic, or Bangladeshi with super low traffic, and you're still spending $5 a day, you don't have enough budget to Optimizer or Facebook to understand what converts best for your campaign. I know it's a safe zone, but don't do $5. And then yes, if you're duplicating ad sets, first of all, start with $20, or like bare minimum $15, but 20 is like an acceptable one for search arb. So you have a scaled campaign. And when I'm scaled ad set, when I say scaled ad set, I'm talking about ad set spending $200 a day, or more. So you can easily move one ad set to $2,000 a day. If it is delivering consistent results, you have good creatives, compliant stuff, and everything is in line. So as long as you are compliant, you are according to the rules, scale it as much as you want. It won't kill you. Like on the other side, it will just give you more profits. And when you scale it, start it at a reasonable amount. Like obviously, it makes sense to be according to your existing budget. So um, don't start it at a super low budget. Like just don't do super low budget scaling. And before it becomes too dark in here, I would like to thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. Please, if you want to get on a call, just scan the QR code. We can get on a call together, or with my other colleagues, and we can talk things into more detail together. Um, and obviously, if you would like to an extra pair of hands, make sure to sign up for the optimizer. Give it a shot. Don't freak out from rule complexity, and don't give up on a bad configured rule. We can get on a call. We can set up the first rules together, and we can take it from there to make sure that you're leveraging the platform at its best. Um, I would like to thank you again, everyone, and see you soon. Thank you, and bye bye.